the 16th president, Lincoln piloted the nation through its greatest crisis. As a political thinker and doer, he spoke about democracy with an eloquence that no other American but Thomas Jefferson has surpassed. As a man, he exhibited the most extraordinary depth and complexity of any American public figure. He had next to no formal education, but he was a great reader. He was a serious thinker. He had no formal religion, but he had a profoundly moral and even theological outlook. He was as open and personable as the prairies, but he was as private as a safe. He was the friend of everyone and the secret sharer of none. I've spent many years trying to get to know this man from afar, partly because he's a fascinating study just in his own right, partly because he was the most important public figure of the Civil War, and partly because anyone who wants to understand the special nature of American democracy needs to understand Abraham Lincoln. For all of those reasons, I want to introduce you to Abraham Lincoln. And I want you to come with me for 12 lectures on his life. We'll begin with his youth in Kentucky and Indiana. We'll see how he was caught up and shaped by the politics of his young adulthood in Illinois, how he prospered as a lawyer, and how he suffered reverses and humiliations in politics. We'll see how he was roused to become an anti-slavery activist in the 1850s, and how he was, as he himself said, accidentally elected the 16th president, but only just in time to have this quarreling nation divide in civil war over slavery. We'll see how he directed the nation toward reunion and the end of slavery, and at the end we'll look at how his legacy lives on for us today. It will be a great adventure, so let's begin. We are in Indiana, and a 15-year-old boy is about to do what he loves best: talk. Oh, he always loved to talk. That was what people remembered most about him as a boy. He loved to talk. He certainly preferred talking to farm work. Virtually every boyhood acquaintance agreed that he didn't love physical work, wouldn't do it if it was agreeable to all, always was reading, studying, and thinking. And to look at him, you would have expected someone who was shy and bashful and silent. His cousin, Dennis Hanks, remembered him as a long, tall, dangling, awkward, droll-looking boy. Long, tall, raw-boned, with an odd and gawky way to him. In an age when an average man's height would be 5'8" or 9 inches, he had sprouted unnaturally to 6'4" by the time he was 20. And since he weighed only about 160 pounds, he actually appeared to one boyhood friend, David Turnham, as a long, thin, leggy, gawky boy, dried up and shriveled. But all of that physical angularity disappeared from people's attention when he began talking. His cousin, Hanks, easily recalled that he was from childhood very lively and quick in his disposition, at all times full of fun, fond of a joke and of telling one. He excelled any boy I ever saw, putting his opportunities into conversation. And in years to come, his friend Turnham would recollect that he was apt to be talking about what he had read, and would sometimes quote nice pieces of prose and poetry to his associates. Sometimes the boy was just a great joker. At other times, it was harder to know the difference between mockery and imitation. While his father and stepmother walked or rode the 1.5 miles that separated them in the Indiana forest from the tiny log church they attended, the boy would gather his stepbrothers and stepsister around him and would take down the Bible, read a verse, give out a hymn. He would preach, and they said, we would do the crying. Anytime he was taken to church, he could afterward go out to work in the field, get up on a stump, and repeat almost word for word the sermon he had heard the Sunday before. Dennis Hanks said, Abe could, when 15 years of age, or in the year 1824, could hear a sermon, speech, or remark, and repeat it accurately. He would go home from the